Today on Rappler, a Filipina caregiver in Canada wins a human trafficking case against her former employer.
We are very conscious that this is a problem-solving session. This will be the discussions for this round are all geared at finding solutions to the issues that have long been discussed.
The government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front resumed talks in Kuala Lumpur over wealth and power-sharing issues. And Asiana Airlines says the pilot of the plane that crash-landed in San Francisco was still in training. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. A Filipina caregiver based in Canada wins a human trafficking case against her former employer, the first of its kind in British Columbia history. The verdict came after a 4-week trial intensely followed by local media. On June 26, Franco Orr was convicted of 3 counts under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Orr could face a maximum life sentence or a $1 million fine or both. In an interview with Philippine Asian News Today, Leticia Sarmiento says the conviction is a victory for fellow live-in caregivers who are oppressed abroad. Sarmiento was brought to Canada by the couple in September 2008 under a visitor's visa. Instead of just taking care of the couple's 3 children, Sarmiento said she was made to do household chores and worked 16-hour days with no days off for close to 2 years. Police rescued her in June 2010 after she called 911 following a heated argument with Orr's wife. A day before the start of Ramadan, the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front resumed negotiations in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, hoping to come closer to a peace agreement. Before the formal meeting, MILF chief negotiator Mahagir Iqbal tells Rappler the MILF is returning to the negotiating table with guarded optimism as both sides attempt to resolve the deadlock on wealth sharing and power sharing. Iqbal says the fact that we are here shows we're committed, but the issues are really tough. Top of the agenda is to complete the wealth-sharing annex between the Bangsamoro political entity and the national government. The Philippine Daily Inquirer reports the MILF wants a 75 to 25% wealth sharing across the board, which is higher than what the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao currently has. But the government says there's a formula to be followed in computing wealth sharing. Of the 4 annexes needed to complete the final peace pact, only the annex on transition arrangements and modalities has been signed. Aside from the wealth sharing annex, the annexes on power sharing and normalization have yet to be completed. In an interview, Government Chief Negotiator Miriam Ferrer says President Benigno Aquino ordered them to come up with an inclusive agreement that will get broad public support.
We are very conscious that this is a problem-solving session. This will be the discussions for this round are all geared at finding solutions to the issues that have long been discussed and have.
At least 31 Muslim rebels and 5 soldiers are killed in clashes as the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front resume peace talks in Malaysia Monday. The military says the splinter rebel group Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, or BIFF, set off a roadside bomb as a military truck drove past in Datu Piang Saturday, killing 3 soldiers. The rebels simultaneously attacked an army detachment in another section of the town, killing 2 other soldiers. In a statement, Regional Military Commander Major General Romeo Gapu says the BIFF is hell-bent on derailing the peace talks by launching simultaneous attacks against civilian and military installations. A military spokesman confirmed soldiers penetrated Ganta in Sharif Saidona Mustafa, a BIFF stronghold, resulting in heavy casualties on the enemy side. 2 of the biggest contributors to the campaigns of senatorial bets, Jack Enrile and JV Ejercito, seem to have contributed beyond their means. Based on the schedule of contributions received by the candidates, these are submitted by the candidates to the poll body, and really got 150.8 million pesos in campaign contributions. The Enrile family, Pacific Royal Basic Foods Incorporated, practically bankrolled his failed bid with a generous 135.96 million peso contribution, even though the company only had a net income of 81.84 million pesos in 2011. JV Ejercito senatorial campaign got 43.96 million pesos from an NGO called JV Para sa Bayan Movement Incorporated, despite reporting a capital of only 90,000 pesos. The NGO was incorporated on December 13, 2012, or 5 months before this year's midterm elections. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines names a protege of the late Manila Archbishop Jaime Cardinal Sin as its new president. Archbishop Socrates Villegas of Lingayen, Dagupan will succeed Cebu Archbishop Jose Palma. Cardinal Sin ordained Villegas in 1995. In 2001, Villegas is appointed Auxiliary Bishop of Manila. He was named Bishop of Balanga Diocese in 2004 and Archbishop of Lingayen, Dagupan in 2009. He assumes his new post on December 1. They live under the bridge to survive. Now the government is offering informal settlers along the Tulyahan River a chance to move to houses safe from floods. Raisa Serafica reports.
To motorists, this bridge is just another road. But to Juliana Pakibot and her neighbors, it's home. Juliana is one of the 1,400 informal settler families living by the Tulyahan River in Valenzuela City. She earns 325 pesos a day as a janitor, way below the daily minimum wage of 450 pesos, barely enough for basic needs. So despite the danger, Juliana decided to settle under the bridge.
Doon kasi, ang upa doon, kahit nasa squatter dyan, nag-uupa kami dyan ng 1.5. Ang liit-liit lang din ng kwarto. Tapos, mas, doon kasi, mas siya sa tubig, mas punta siya sa tubig doon, kaysa dito. Ayun na ngayon, yung nagbakwitan kami kasi nga diyan kami sa kasalan natutulog kasi yung inupahan naming bahay, wala, tinatangay yung pinakalikod niya. Halos kami naman lahat eh.
But if plans push through, she'll no longer be at risk every time it rains and the river swells. The government plans to relocate settlers in waterways in Metro Manila as part of its anti-flood master plan. The National Housing Authority says 19,400 families will be relocated before the year ends.
Maganda na yung ating mga units. It's nothing comparable to what they used to yung dating mga relocation sites natin. Maganda na ngayon. And we're actually proud of what we have the new relocation site that we have been building for them.
NHA says Juliana Pakibot and her neighbors will be moved to a relocation site called Disciplina Village, also in Valenzuela City. To Juliana, this is good news.
Opo ma'am, mas maganda, mabuti nga yan eh. Meron kang bahay, makapagnegosyo ka pa. Yun na, kaysa mangupahan pa.
The village is composed of 25 buildings that can house 600 families. With their new houses, the danger and the fear will all be water under the bridge. Raisa Serafica, Rappler, Manila.
An Asiana Airlines Boeing 777 crash lands at the San Francisco International Airport Saturday to Sunday, that's a Sunday in Manila, killing 2 teenage girls and injuring 182. CNN reports the bodies of the 2 girls were found on the runway next to the burning plane. Authorities say one of them may have been struck by a first responder's vehicle. Asiana Flight 214 was at the end of a 10-hour direct flight from Seoul, South Korea. The aircraft touched down heavily on the runway, close to the water's edge, before it disappeared in a cloud of smoke. CNN reports pilots tried to abort the landing just 1.5 seconds before the plane crashed. The National Transportation Safety Board says the pilots appeared to have increased speed 7 seconds before impact and then, quote, called to initiate a go-around 1.5 seconds to impact. Preliminary assessment of the plane's cockpit and flight data recorders show the flight was coming in too slow. On Monday, Asiana Airlines says the pilot in charge of the plane when it crashed was still in training for the Boeing 777. But Asiana says he was accompanied by an experienced trainer who acted as co-pilot. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 4, the New York Times reports American diplomats are trying to persuade the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt to accept the overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi. But in Islamist comments, they're asking us to legitimize the coup, adding accepting Morsi's ouster would spell the death of Egyptian democracy. Splits among the country's newly dominant political forces already show. On Saturday, state news media report diplomat Mohamed El-Baradei was chosen as prime minister, but the presidency later backed away from the report after ultra-conservatives reject El-Baradei for being too secular. The infighting leaves a power vacuum that makes it unclear who is running the country. At number 5, radical cleric Abu Qatada is being held in a high-security jail near the Jordanian capital Amman after being deported from the UK. A BBC report says Prime Minister David Cameron is delighted at his removal. Abu Qatada was first arrested in the UK over terrorist connections in 2001 and fought deportation since 2005. His deportation proceeded after the UK and Jordan signed a treaty agreeing that evidence obtained through torture would not be used against him. Abu Qatada, whose real name is Omar Othman, was granted asylum in the UK in 1994 but was later seen by authorities as a threat. Military prosecutors charge Abu Qatada with conspiracy to carry out a plot to bomb American and Israeli tourists during Jordan's Millennium celebrations. And at number 10, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Bolivia offer asylum to fugitive U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden. Nicaragua reveals details of Snowden's letter in which he says he's unlikely to receive, quote, a fair trial in the United States. On Saturday, Russian lawmaker Alexei Pushkov says political asylum in Venezuela would be, quote, the best solution for Snowden. He tweets, the country has a sharp conflict with the United States. It will not be worse. The New York Times reports the U.S. and Venezuela recently began talks for reconciliation, but a senior U.S. official says this would end if Venezuela helped Snowden. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. A historic win and a shocking defeat. Here's a quick wrap of an eventful weekend in sports. World number 2 Andy Murray dominates world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon men's final, ending a 77-year drought in the tournament for British men. Murray took 3 straight sets against Djokovic, who committed several errors early on and couldn't get into the rhythm. Djokovic's frustrations mounted as he kept slipping on the court. Murray's Wimbledon championship is his second Grand Slam title, following his breakthrough win at the U.S. Open in 2012. In mixed martial arts, Chris Weidman shocks the world after knocking out Ultimate Fighting Championship middleweight champion Anderson Silva. Silva, considered the best pound-for-pound fighter, was careless in the fight. He stood square in front of Weidman with his hands down, tapping his chin, inviting the American to throw punches. Weidman finished the fight halfway through the second round. Still in UFC, Mark the Filipino wrecking machine Munoz makes a successful return to the octagon after nearly a year of battling injury and depression. He defeats Tim Boetsch via unanimous decision after landing 160 strikes at 90% accuracy. In basketball, Dwight Howard, the biggest star in this year's NBA free agent class, decides to leave the Los Angeles Lakers to sign with the Houston Rockets. Howard is expected to form a deadly inside-outside combo with young all-star guard James Harden. In Philippine college basketball, De La Salle University uses a second-half assault to defeat arch-rival Ateneo de Manila University 82-73 in the 76th UAAP men's basketball tournament. Arnold Van Opstal and Luigi De La Paz delivered key baskets in the second half as the Green Archers overcame a 12-point halftime deficit to grab their second win in 3 games. The Blue Eagles built momentum early on as dynamic forward Chris Newsom exploded for 18 points in the first half. But it was not enough as the Blue Eagles absorbed their 3rd straight loss and their worst start in UAAP since 1997. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected Rappler's readers the most. If you take a look, these stories have gotten the most vote on their mood meters. If we take a look, the story that has the most number of votes is this one. Pope hits priests, nuns with brand new cars, a story that went out on Sunday. You have 60 16% happy and 71% inspired in Asia's largest Roman Catholic nation. But as you can see, there are a lot of reds dominating. This is a story you just heard about. Something curious about JVs and Jack's contributors. This is election campaign funds. You have a whopping 91% angry. And women raped, at least 169 women raped in Egypt protest. You have 83% angry. The red contributing to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Monday, July 8, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.